The isolation. Winter had swallowed the Black Hills whole. Snow layered the forest in suffocating silence. The sky hung low and metallic, the kind of gray that felt permanent. Temperatures had dropped to -15, and the wind moved like something alive between the trees. Daniel Reed adjusted the camera, mounted on his dashboard. Day 1, he muttered into the lens. Black Hollow Forest, abandoned radio station WBRK 104.7, shut down in 1987 after a mysterious final broadcast. His breath fogged the windshield. Online forums called it a hoax. Locals called it cursed. Daniel called it content. The dirt road disappeared under snow the deeper he drove. Eventually, through skeletal trees, the station emerged. A low, concrete building half buried in white. A rusted antenna tower leaned overhead like a broken needle, piercing the sky. The static. Inside, the air smelled metallic, frozen, undisturbed. The main studio remained eerily intact. A microphone sat at the desk, powdered with dust. Headphones rested beside it, as if someone had just stepped away. Daniel ran his fingers along the control board. Dead, of course. He set up 3 cameras, one wide shot, one handheld, one static facing the hallway. By 1:13 a.m., the forest outside had gone unnaturally still. No wind, no branches creaking, nothing. Then, a click. Daniel froze. Across the room, the old transmitter flickered. A red on-air light blinked weakly, then steadied. "That's not possible," he whispered. The equipment hadn't been connected to power in decades. The speakers crackled, static filled the studio, and beneath it, a voice, soft, warped, almost blending into the noise. "Daniel." He stopped breathing. He had not said his last name on camera. He had not posted his location. The voice came again, clearer. "Daniel, can you hear me?" It sounded close, too close. The footage. Morning came pale and cold. Daniel barely slept. He reviewed the hallway camera footage while sipping stale coffee from a thermos. At 2:47 a.m., while he had been asleep on a cot in the office, the camera turned on by itself. The hallway stood empty for nearly 3 minutes. Then, the wall at the far end shifted. Not cracked, not broke. Shifted, like something pressing outward from inside. A bulge formed beneath the wallpaper. Slow, breathing. Daniel paused the footage, zoomed in. The shape almost resembled a shoulder. Then, a head. He rewound it. This time, he noticed something worse. A whisper on the audio track. Not from the hallway, from directly beside the camera. "Don't answer it." Final log. Behind peeling wallpaper in the main studio, Daniel discovered a hollow cavity between the walls. Inside sat a small cassette recorder, sealed in a plastic bag. The label read, "Final log, do not air, 12/17/87. His fingers trembled as he pressed play. A man's voice filled the room, calm, controlled, terrified beneath the surface. It mimicked sounds first, animals, wind, knocking, a pause, then voices. Static crackled violently in the tape. It learns you. It listens through the walls. If it calls your name, the tape distorted. Then, very clearly, "Do not respond." Behind Daniel, a soft knock. From inside the wall, knock, knock, knock. His own voice whispered from behind him, "Daniel, turn around." The broadcast. A blizzard began after midnight. Snow pounded the building. The antenna shrieked in the wind. Daniel, pale and shaking, set up a live stream. "If anyone finds this," he said into the camera, "it's in the walls. It copies you. Don't acknowledge it. Don't speak back." A low rumble interrupted him. The wall behind the microphone rippled, not cracking, moving, as if something large was repositioning itself inside the structure. The on-air sign ignited again, red, bright. The speakers turned on without touch, and through them came Daniel's voice, perfectly replicated. "If you're listening, I'm right behind you." Daniel's eyes widened. Slowly, the wall split, wood snapping outward, drywall bending like fabric. From the darkness inside, something unfolded, not fully seen, limbs too long, movement slightly delayed, like a corrupted video frame trying to catch up. The camera fell sideways. We hear scrambling, breathing, wood splintering, then silence, followed by one final whisper. "Thank you for letting me out." The stream cuts to static. In January of 2025, 29-year-old freelance videographer Daniel Reed announced a new project to his 18,000 subscribers. Daniel specialized in abandoned locations, old hospitals, collapsed mines, deserted towns. But this time, he chose something different, an abandoned radio station buried deep in Black Hollow Forest, once known as WBRK 104.7. The station shut down abruptly in December of 1987. According to archived reports, during a late-night broadcast, listeners heard the host suddenly whisper, "If anyone can hear this, it's inside the walls." Then the signal cut to static. The building was closed the next morning. No explanation. The building looked frozen in time. Dust-covered mixing boards, headphones still hanging on their hook, an on-air sign mounted above the studio window. He set up 3 cameras, one in the studio, one in the hallway, and one handheld. At around 1:13 a.m., something strange happened. The old transmitter powered on. By itself, a red light flickered, and the speakers filled with static. Daniel can be heard on camera laughing nervously. Then the static shifts, and a voice comes through, soft, almost blended with interference. "Daniel." He stops laughing, because he never said his name out loud. The next morning, Daniel reviewed his footage. At 2:47 a.m., while he was asleep, the hallway camera activates on its own. For nearly 3 minutes, nothing happens. Then, the wall at the end of the hallway begins to move. Not crack, not collapse. Move, like something pressing outward from inside. The wallpaper stretches slightly, forming what looks like the outline of a shoulder. Then, a head. And then, on the audio track, right next to the camera microphone, a whisper. "Don't answer it." Daniel replays the clip multiple times. Each time, the whisper sounds closer. Behind peeling wallpaper in the main studio, Daniel finds a hollow cavity. Inside is a cassette recorder labeled "Final Log, Do Not Air, 12/17/87. The recording features a calm male voice, presumably the last radio host. He explains that for weeks before the shutdown, staff had reported strange sounds inside the walls. Scratching, breathing, mimicked voices. According to the tape, the phenomenon followed a pattern. First, it copied animals, then environmental sounds, then human voices. It would call out names, and the final warning on the tape was clear. If it says your name, do not respond. At that exact moment in Daniel's recording, a knock is heard, 3 times from inside the wall. That night, a blizzard hits the forest. Daniel begins a live broadcast to his subscribers. He looks pale, sleep-deprived. He explains everything, says the building walls are hollow, says something is moving inside them. As he speaks, the wall behind him visibly bulges. His chat exploded with comments. The old on-air sign suddenly glows bright red. The speakers turn on, and through them comes Daniel's voice, perfectly replicated. "If you're listening, I'm right behind you." Daniel slowly turns toward the wall. The drywall splits open from the inside. The camera falls sideways. There's heavy breathing, wood splintering, then silence. The stream cuts to static. Authorities later searched the property. No signs of struggle, no body, but investigators noted something disturbing. Every interior wall had been hollowed out from the inside, as if something had been living there for years. The transmitter, despite having no external power source, occasionally emits signal during heavy snowfall, and locals claim that if you tune to 104.7 FM during a storm, you may hear a faint broadcast beneath the static, a familiar voice asking, "Are you listening?" And sometimes it says your name. On January 17th, exactly 1 week after Daniel Reed disappeared inside an abandoned radio station in the Black Hills, emergency dispatch in a nearby town received 3 identical calls, all from different houses, all at 3:12 a.m., and all reporting the same thing. "There's someone inside my walls, and it sounds like me." The nearest town to Black Hollow Forest is Ashford Ridge, population 2,400, quiet, isolated, the kind of place where everyone knows each other. The first caller was a school teacher named Mara Collins. She told dispatch that her baby monitor had turned on by itself. Through the speaker, she could hear whispering. At first, she thought it was radio interference. Then, she heard her own voice say, "Mara, come check the hallway." She was alone in the house. Police initially suspected faulty wiring or prank calls, but over the next 48 hours, reports increased. Smart speakers activating at 3:12 a.m., car radios switching to 104.7 FM, phones receiving blank calls filled with static, and always, beneath the static, a familiar voice, calling the listener's name. One officer reported something off the record. While sitting in his patrol car during a snowstorm, his radio flickered. The display changed to 104.7 FM. A voice came through. It wasn't dispatch, it was him, whispering, "Don't go home tonight." 3 days later, a local teenager uploaded a video to social media. The clip shows his bedroom at night. At exactly 3:12 a.m., scratching begins inside the wall behind his bed. He turns on the light. The scratching stops. Then, his laptop turns on by itself. The screen fills with static, and through the speakers comes a distorted broadcast. It sounds like Daniel Reed. It's not in the station anymore. The boy backs away. The wall behind him bulges slightly. The video cuts. By morning, the account that uploaded it was deleted. The family moved out of town 2 days later. No public statement. A former audio engineer who once worked at WBRK in the 1980s agreed to speak anonymously. He said the phenomenon wasn't confined to the building. According to him, during the final weeks before the shutdown in 1987, staff noticed something disturbing. The signal was broadcasting even when the transmitter was powered off, almost as if the frequency itself had become occupied. He believes whatever was inside the walls didn't need the station anymore. It needed exposure. Radio waves travel, Wi-Fi travels, Bluetooth travels. Signals overlap, and if something could mimic sound, why stop at walls? During a heavy snowstorm on January 23rd, nearly the entire town of Ashford Ridge reported electronic interference at the same time. TV screens flickered, radios emitted static, phone assistants activated simultaneously. For exactly 47 seconds, every audio-capable device in town broadcast the same transmission. A layered chorus of voices, hundreds of them, all whispering different names. Then silence. Power remained on. No technical explanation was ever given. 2 nights later, traffic cameras on the highway leading out of town captured something strange. At 3:12 a.m., during whiteout conditions, a figure was seen walking along the roadside, barefoot, no jacket, moving steadily through sub-zero temperatures. The footage is blurry, but investigators confirmed one detail. The face matches Daniel Reed. Authorities searched the area at sunrise. No footprints, no body, no tracks leading into the forest. Only one strange discovery. Every car radio in the search vehicles had been manually tuned to 104.7 FM. None of the officers remember touching it. To this day, Ashford Ridge experiences unexplained signal interference during winter storms, and residents have noticed something unsettling. The voice doesn't just mimic anymore. It improves. It sounds clearer, stronger, more human, almost like it's practicing. And if you drive through the Black Hills during a snowstorm and your radio turns to static, listen carefully, because if it says your name, that means it has already heard you. On February 2nd, local authorities in the Black Hills released a public statement. There was no entity, no creature, no paranormal signal. According to investigators, the abandoned WBRK station had faulty residual wiring connected to an old emergency backup battery system buried underground. During severe snowstorms, static discharge in the antenna tower may have created brief radio interference across nearby frequencies. As for the voices, pareidolia, officials said, the human brain is wired to find patterns in noise, especially in static, especially at 3:12 a.m. Daniel Reed's disappearance was classified as probable exposure-related death. Temperatures had dropped below -20 degrees the night he vanished. Search teams found no evidence of foul play. Case status, inactive. But a few details never made it into the official report. Investigators did confirm that the interior walls of the station were unusually hollow, not damaged, not recently altered, just empty. Blueprints from 1974 show standard insulation between panels. When examined in February, there was none. No debris, no nesting material, no sign of animals, just open space. And something else. During evidence review, technicians analyzed the final seconds of Daniel's live stream. There was no visible figure emerging from the wall, no clear intruder, but when they isolated the audio, they detected 2 separate breathing patterns. One belonged to Daniel, the other did not match any known profile in the room. It was slower, measured, almost synchronized with the radio static. By March, reports in Ashford Ridge had almost completely stopped. No more synchronized device activations, no more emergency calls. Life slowly returned to normal. The local hardware store reopened after storm damage. School resumed regular hours. 134.7 FM was reassigned to a weather advisory station. Most residents stopped talking about January altogether, except for one thing. During heavy snowfall, some drivers reported brief interference when passing the forest highway. Not voices, not words, just what sounds like distant breathing beneath the static, lasting no more than 3 seconds. Engineers attempted to trace the signal source. They found none. In late March, a park ranger conducting routine patrol near Black Hollow Forest discovered something partially buried beneath melting snow. A camera, damaged by moisture but recoverable. It belonged to Daniel Reed. Most of the memory card was corrupted, except for a single 11-second clip. The footage shows Daniel outside the station during the blizzard, alive, disoriented. He appears to be walking away from the building, holding the camera at chest height. Behind him, the station stands quiet. No broken walls, no visible damage. He turns the camera toward the forest, snow whipping violently, and he says, calmly, "It followed the sound." Then the clip ends. No struggle, no scream, just wind. Search teams later determined he likely became lost during whiteout conditions and succumbed to hypothermia somewhere in the forest. Spring thaw never revealed a body, which in remote winter terrain is not uncommon. Case closed. There is no confirmed evidence of anything supernatural in Black Hollow. No verified entity, no proven broadcast anomaly. Just static, just winter. Just a missing man who chased a story too far into the cold. But if you study the archived emergency dispatch logs from January 17th, you'll notice something subtle. The first 3 calls at 3:12 a.m., they weren't placed from inside Ashford Ridge. They pinged from a cell tower 5 miles inside Black Hollow Forest, an area with no residential structures, no roads, and no power supply. Only trees, and an abandoned radio station that, according to federal records, has not transmitted a signal since 1987, officially. So if you ever drive through the Black Hills in winter and your radio slips briefly into static, it's probably nothing. Static carries, signals bounce, cold air distorts sound. That's what they'll tell you, and most of the time, they're right. But if, just for a second, you think you hear breathing beneath the noise, don't answer it. Just keep driving. And whatever you do, don't say your name out loud.